Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is the 19th of February 2017. I am once again recording on a Sunday, which, as you probably know, is not my usual, but it just happened to work out this way again for this week, so I hope that's fine. This is a podcast about knitting, so if you're watching for the first time, I really hope that you like it. I will say in advance that this week I have been all over the place. My knitting mojo has been all over the place. So if this podcast is a little bit disjointed, I'm sorry about that. But I hope that you'll still like it, and if not, maybe just watch a different episode. And for those of you who are coming back, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate it. I love recording and then talking to you guys, and after recording, reading your lovely comments and messages. It's just really great, and I really appreciate it. So today I'll talk about finished objects, works in progress. Well, there's no real acquisitions, but there's one thing I want to talk about. I'll answer a question, and then I'll talk about life in general. So I am thinking it's going to be a shorter episode once again, but we'll see. So before we get into all of that, I wanted to quickly mention the Ravelry group. We have a group on Ravelry called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group, which I would recommend you join if you're interested in joining in the Knitalongs. That's also where I post the show notes. So if you have any questions about what yarn I used, or what needle size, or what dyes I mentioned, all of that can be found in the show notes for each episode. So you'll probably find the answer quicker if you just look it up rather than ask me, because it always takes me a while to get back to you guys. We also have a Ask Away thread, we have introductions, we have a Across the Pond swap or trade thread, and like I said, the Knitalongs. So at the moment I'm running 2 Knitalongs. The year-long informal Knitalong is the One Ball with Love Cow, which is a Knitalong for knitting with commercial sock yarns such as Regia, Opal, Knit Picks. And that's just really been a fun Knitalong for me. I just started that, and there's no deadlines, there aren't any prizes officially. But last week I did give away a copy of the New York Sock Collection, which is a sock club by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat. So the winner of that has already been notified, and I think she has received the pattern, and Mina also gifted a copy of that to me. So I'm super excited. I can't wait for the first pattern to come out on March 1st, I believe. So thank you again so much, Mina. And if any of you are joining into the club, I would love to know, because like I said, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think I'm going to try to knit along with the club for every month. And yeah, I would love to know who else is doing it. So that's the One Ball with Love Cow. And the other one is the Geeky Sock Along, which is a sock knit along for socks that are geeky, either by using a geeky pattern or by using a geeky themed yarn, or you just have to explain to me why your yarn is geeky or why your socks have some geeky reference, and that'll be fine. And for that one, we have a chatter thread and an FO thread, and that runs until the March 31st. So you still have some time to join in. I always do relatively long knit-alongs, and then I wonder if they're too long, but it is fun because you have so much time to do different things. And all the details for that are in the chatter thread. And we have a lot of really cool prizes for that as well, so I would definitely recommend you check that out. So I think that's it for the Ravelry group. I can't talk today. I'm just a little bit disjointed. It's just one of these weeks and days and whatever. So let's talk about some finished objects. So I have, surprise, 2 pairs of socks done. The first one I finished was the test knit for Mina. Again, Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat. Apparently this is a somewhat Mina themed episode today. I was test knitting her new lacy sock pattern, which has not been released yet, and I think she will change the name as well. But I will let you know once she releases them, but this is what the socks look like. So it is a lace sock where you have sort of like a more intricate lace pattern at the top, and then a different lace pattern across the entire sock. So it's really beautiful. I really enjoyed knitting this, and I'm just so glad that I got the chance to test knit this pattern, because as soon as I saw it I think on her Instagram, I really wanted to knit this right away. So this has been really fun. I knit these socks on 2.25 millimeter needles. I did the medium size, which is a 62 stitch sock, I believe. And I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel, just because this was a deadline knit and I wanted to get this finished as quickly as possible. And I made the deadline, so everything worked out pretty well. The yarn that I used is Regia in their Perfect line. And this is the wrong label. I must have thrown away the label. But it is one of their gradient sets, as you can see. I talked about before how I'm not that impressed with this particular Regia colorway. But if you're interested in the colorway number, it is linked in my project page. So I'm happy to have these done. I will send these off to my grandma tomorrow, hopefully. And I hope that she'll really love them. And she has no idea that she's getting them, so I'm hoping for a lovely surprise. And last week, I think I just had turned the heel for the second sock. And then on Monday, before I had like a major interview marathon, I just sat down because I was kind of unable to do anything else. I just sat down and knit the entire foot until the second sock to just get these off the needles, and I'm so happy that these are done. So that's my finished object number 1, and as you can see, I made 2, obviously. And then last night, I also finished another pair of socks, and these ones are for Kai. I did also show these last week on the podcast, but I had just started on the legs. So as you might or might not know, my boyfriend Kai loves hand-knit socks. And he loves colorful hand-knit socks. And especially when yesterday we discovered that one of his favorite pairs had a huge hole, so huge that it was way beyond repair. He was so sad and he really wanted more socks. So I just kind of sat down and really worked on these to get them done so that he can wear them today. So the yarn that I used for these is Shebot Garne. Shebot Garne is a German indie dyer who I love very much, and I say that pretty much every week. Sorry for shaking the camera there. And this is on her soft socks base, which is an 80/20 merino nylon, and the colorway is Sunflower. And these are so sunny and happy, and I really enjoyed working on them. For this one, I used a 2.5 millimeter needle, US size 1.5. And I did 64 stitches. And as you can see, the legs are slightly shorter than what I usually do, but Kai wanted shorter legs, and I'm fine with that because his feet are quite big anyways. You can see that these are kind of too big for the sock blockers because the sock blockers are my foot size rather than his. What I also really like is that one is way more green than the other one. I think that's really fun. I knit these 2 at a time, so they kind of start out in the same color, and then you can really see how they start to differ at the bottom. I think that's really fun, and Kai loves it, so I'm very happy with these. It's just kind of such a springy colorway. It just worked out perfectly for what I was needing at the time, and I love knitting vanilla socks, so yeah, it just worked out really well. So once again, I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is the heel that I pretty much always do. And yeah, I'm really happy to have these done. So that's it for my finished objects. And Kai will be so happy that he gets to wear them today. I feel like the focus is off today. I'm sorry about that. Maybe I'm just imagining this. For works in progress, I thought I'd show you my blanket once again because I know at least one person who loves to see the blanket. So this is my crochet granny square blanket. And it is huge. I haven't measured it for a while, but it is, as you can see, it is very big by now, which means that progress is much slower. So last time I showed this to you, I think I was down here, so I am put in this orange, purpley, yellow mini skein, which is also from Shebot Garne in the hula hoop colorway, which I used for a pair of blueberry waffle socks for myself. And then it's kind of hard to show because often my minis don't make it around an entire round of the blanket, but I put in this blush pink. I'm not quite sure what that is right now. And then the dark blue, which is a mini that I got from a friend, and then now I'm crocheting with this green that another lovely friend in view of the podcast sent to me. I think that's really pretty, and I think I'm going to make maybe 2 or 3 rounds out of this mini if I have enough yarn. So all in all, I'm still enjoying this blanket. I haven't been working on it as much, but I like to pick it up every now and then, and It is just a very colorful and happy project. I definitely enjoy working on it very much. I use a 4mm hook. This is just a very standard prim hook. 4mm I think is a US size G, in case you're interested. And that works really well for me. If you're wanting to know how to do this sort of blanket, just Google how to crochet a granny square. There are plenty of tutorials on Google, on YouTube, on Ravelry, I believe. There are lots of different resources, and I am not a crocheter. I don't really have any idea, and I just figured this out on the go, so don't be intimidated at all. It's not very hard at all. So that's my blanket. I love seeing it on the camera. It always looks so much nicer than when you're just working on it and you're never really looking at it. I really love how this looks. It's very scrappy, it's very colorful, and yeah, I'm very happy with this. So that's my blanket. Next, I'll talk about my Find Your Fate, because that has outgrown any of the project bags I own, so that's also kind of bunching all over the place. So in terms of progress on my Find Your Fate, I'm still on the same color, but I've made some progress. So this is a Find Your Fate shawl by Andrea Mowry. In case you haven't heard of it before, it's a huge shawl. I showed it more in detail in the last couple of episodes, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. But this is just, whoops, an idea. This thing is absolutely ginormous. All the yarns that I've used are listed in my show notes. And I had just started this color last week. And as you can see, I'm still working on it, but I'm almost done with the lace repeat. I think I have one more lace row to go, and then pretty much as soon as you finish the lace, you start melting into another color. And I am, as you can see, almost finished. I have one more color to go. I think this might actually be the last lace repeat for the entire shawl. So as much as I love the Find Your Fate and I have really enjoyed it, I am very much looking forward to having this off the needles. This has become a bit of a beast because the rows are quite long and they stay long until the end after you reach a certain point. Yeah, but I have a love-hate relationship with my Find Your Fate, but mostly I do really love it. What kind of stopped me this week is the yarn that I'm currently using. This color, this yarn is from Burrow and Soar, who is a German indie, a UK-based indie dyer. I don't know the colorway of this, unfortunately, because I don't think it had a name when she sent it to me. But, well, it looks absolutely beautiful. I love the colors. I think it's a beautiful yarn. I just had some difficulties working with it. I think it is an 80-20 blend, but it's a bit of a thinner, more toothy yarn. And in the beginning, I just really wasn't, I don't know, it's nothing is wrong with the yarn at all. It just was different to the yarns that I'm used to, and it took me a while to figure out how to knit with it. I think in the beginning I was maybe tensioning it too hard, and then it was all becoming very fiddly and uncomfortable. But now I've kind of worked out how to work with this yarn, and now I actually really quite like it. And I'm hoping maybe I'll have enough leftovers to actually do some kind of scrappy project with it as well. So like I said, nothing wrong with the yarn at all. It is just a little bit different, and it took me a while to get used to. But then again, these sort of things are very subjective, and maybe it's also just the way that the yarn worked with the needles. I'm not quite sure. But maybe next week it might be finished. That would be really amazing. I guess I shouldn't be making promises, but I would love to have this finished. I'm using 3.5mm needles, and the only modification that I'm making is I'm doing a different decrease in the middle. I'm doing a CDD, which is a central double decrease. And I have written all of that out in my project notes, of course. So that's my Find Your Fate. And I have two more works in progress. First of all, I cast on my Valentine socks. So I did a Valentine's Day cast on, and lots of you guys joined in, which was so fun. And I actually have a hoe. I finished the first sock already because it is so addictive. So in the end, I chose to use this yarn. I was kind of undecided which yarn to use, but I chose to use my first ever indie dyed self-striping yarn. And this is from Laughing Yaffle, and I don't have the tag with me. I'm so sorry. But Laughing Yaffle is based in the UK. I will link her in the show notes. She has some amazing yarn. I may have bought some more. And this was her coral colorway. And as you can see, it is a sparkly self-striping colorway, and it is pretty colorful, almost neon, and it's so fun. I'm really, really loving it. It came wound up into this pretty ball, and yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. It also worked perfectly to double dip into Candace's Stripey Socks Cowl from Pin Feathers and Pearls. So yeah, I just knit a vanilla sock. I did 2x2 ribbing and then a plain vanilla sock, and then I put in a contrast heel. I just was too lazy to figure out an afterthought heel, and I didn't want to mess with the stripes, so I just put in a very dark blue, almost black heel, and then I just continued with the stripes. And I think this is so pretty. I absolutely love this. I'm very much addicted to this. And I have started the second sock. I've done like 2 rows, but they are matching, or they should be matching. I just really wanted to get the second one on the needles, so now I can just work on it whenever. Oh yeah, I'm so excited about this. This makes me very happy. The yarn I use for the contrast color I haven't used before. This is from Lang. It's Lang Javol. And this is the yarn, it's a solid color. It's colorway number 34, I believe. And it comes with the matching extra thread, which is meant for heels and toes and things to make it extra strong. So you just hold this double with the yarn. And that's exactly what I did for the heel here. So this heel turned out very sturdy, and I think it's going to hold up very well, which was really important to me because this yarn is lovely, but it is more like a soft yarn. So yeah, I think that worked really well, and I'm going to try wearing this, and if I like it, I think I might get some more of these colors because they have some really good and reasonably priced solid colors. So I'm really happy with that. Again, I'm using 2.25mm needles, 64 stitches, and these will definitely be for myself because they're my Stripey Valentine's socks. So, my last work in progress that I have to share with you today is my harvest sweater, which I am knitting out of this yarn. This is Malabrigo Rios, which is their worsted weight plied yarn. The colorway is Sabiduria, and this is all of course linked in the show notes. I have 2 skeins in my hands because this is a hand-dyed yarn, so therefore I am alternating skeins. And last week I had separated for the sleeves, and this week I actually decided to knit the sleeves first. So first of all, this is a cardigan by Tin Can Knits, which is a free pattern on Ravelry, and if you've never knit a garment before, I cannot recommend Tin Can Knits patterns highly enough because they are just amazing and they teach you so much, and they're super understandable with lots of tutorials. So I had basically separated for the sleeves, and then I decided to knit the sleeves first because I think I have enough yarn. I should have enough yarn, but I'm not quite sure. So if I knit the sleeves first, I can then knit the body as long as I want without having to calculate how much I'll have to leave for the sleeves and play yarn chicken in the end. So as you might be able to tell, I finished 2 sleeves. So the stitch markers here just indicate my decreases. I basically knit the sleeves exactly as you're supposed to in the pattern, except I made them a little bit shorter because what I tend to do with my sleeves is I always push them up. Like having really long sleeves just kind of feels restrictive to me, so I made these a little bit shorter, and they're going to block out anyways because this yarn grows quite a bit when you block it, but they're going to be somehow between 3/4 length sleeves and full length sleeves, and somehow in the middle of that. So I knit my sleeves, and the only modification that I made besides making them shorter is I did a 2x2 rib at the end, just because I thought I liked that more than the garter stitch panel that the pattern suggests. But besides that, yeah, they're just very standard sleeves, and what I've done is I'm kind of making a science out of this alternating skeins thing. So I'm alternating skeins throughout the entire body of the sweater, and then when I separated for the sleeves, I left some of that yarn that I was using before to then use also for alternating on the sleeves, so there would not be a color change. So both of these sleeves have the same yarn in them, and they also kind of continue, so I don't think there's any visible lining. With all the alternating, it does get a little bit more complicated, I think. At least for me, I was calculating to make sure that I had enough yarns for both sleeves from the same cake, and yeah, it just became a bit of a science. And also because my body was not finished at the moment that I was knitting the sleeves, I had 4 balls of yarn attached to the work, and it was becoming a little bit cumbersome. But now I have the sleeves done. So now all I need to do really is knit down the body as long as I want. So this is basically like a vanilla sock now. I just have to keep knitting down until I decide I want to stop or until I run out of yarn. And I do think I want to knit this relatively long if I can, just because I want this to be really cozy. It is a worsted weight sweater, so it's going to be quite warm anyway, so I want this to be something that I can wear in winter with a coat, or in summer when I just want something like a warm layer. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about the prospect of that. Because I've been splitting up skeins and doing all kinds of knitting maths, I have no idea about how much yarn I have left. I think I have 1 more full ball, and then another one that is half used, and then these 2. So we're just going to see how it goes. But I'm really, really enjoying this. Like I said, the only thing is now it is quite big, and with the sleeves and the alternating skeins, it is a little bit, I'm not finding it as handy to pick up. I think that's just what stops me to pick it up every now and then, because for example, if other people are around and I have to jiggle with my skeins, it's just a little bit annoying. But I'm really happy with it. I'm loving the yarn. I love the color. And I can't wait to actually have this done. And this is working up a lot faster than I thought it would too. So that's my harvest sweater. I explained last week how my gauge was off even with smaller needles. So I did the math, and I'm using, I think, 1 size smaller than suggested. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter US size 7, I believe. And I'm knitting the extra small size, which with blocking and growing and my gauge should get me a size small to medium. So that's all the maths I've done. I'm just very curious to see how this will turn out, but if it's a little bit more roomy, that'll be fine. I don't think it'll be too small. If anything, it might be a little bit too big, and that'll be fine. So yeah, that's my sweater. I'm really, really liking it. And I just really like having the sleeves done, because for me that's the most annoying part. So now I don't have anything, like I don't have the stitches on scrap yarn or anything anymore. Everything that's attached now, I'm just going to finish it, and then that'll be done. And that makes it so much more enjoyable for me. So yeah, that's my works in progress. You might notice it's only 3. I did cast on something yesterday, but I'm not sure if I love it, so I'm not going to show that today, and I think I'm going to need another selfish cast on today, because it's been a tough week and I just need some happy, most likely socks for myself to cast on and enjoy. But before I go into that, let's talk about acquisitions. The only thing I acquired this week is 1 needle, because I showed you the DK weight yarn last week that I got from Pachinku Yarns and also from Knit by Numbers, from John Iron. And I really just needed a hat needle, because I don't have any needles for knitting hats. I always knit hats magic loop, and while that works fine, it is a little bit annoying, and I think it's a reason why I don't knit many hats. So I just got a Knit Pro Nova 3.75 millimeter, which I think is a US size 5, should be, in 40 centimeters, which I think is 16 inch. So this is just a short needle that I can use for DK weight yarn to knit myself some hats whenever I feel like it. I have used Knit Pro Novas before. I think they're quite good needles, but honestly I didn't specifically look for this brand. I just grabbed the cheapest one that I could get from Amazon with free shipping. And that pretty much brings me right onto the questions that I wanted to answer. So I get quite a few questions on where I buy my needles and where I buy my yarn, my commercial sock yarn. So both of these answers are probably going to be mostly interesting for people in Germany, or at least in the EU or something. So if you're not interested, feel free to skip that. But the easy answer is for needles, I don't have one specific place where I buy them. Usually I know quite specifically what I want. So I actually order almost all of my needles because of that. Because most of the needles that I like or want are not being sold in my local yarn store, or maybe I just don't know about it. So when I know I want higher sharps, I will just Google higher sharps, and find whoever has the size I need and buy them from whatever online store. With Knit Pro, I actually get quite a bit off Amazon just because living in Munich, that gets delivered incredibly fast. But again, I don't have a real specific place where I buy them because lots of stores store different yarns and needles. And sometimes I'll know that I want a high needle and a certain store also has a certain yarn that I want. So it really just depends on that. And I'm quite picky on my needles. So yeah, I hope that answers some of the questions. It's really just as simple as Googling exactly what you want and just seeing what comes up and the different prices and the shipping and the shops and just go from there. So no, I don't have a specific place where I order my needles. Same question came quite a few times now about where I buy my commercial sock yarn as well, because as you might know, I buy quite a lot of Regia and also Opal and all that. And again, most of it I order online. I actually, in Würzburg, where we used to live, I didn't like the local yarn store very much, but they had a huge wall of sock yarns from like different brands and lots of selection, and I really miss that because here I feel like most stores only have a very small selection. And again, I usually have quite a good idea of what I want, so I will see a certain colorway of Opal or of Regia, and I will want exactly that because I saw that on Instagram, and that's usually how I choose and pick most of my sock yarns. So again, I will usually Google that, and there are two places where I order quite often. They are German places, so again, no idea if they sell anywhere else, but Sockenwolle Paradies and Fischerwolle are two places where I order quite a lot. And otherwise, sometimes, again, Amazon. I don't want to order too much from Amazon because I'd rather order from an actual yarn store, but it just depends. And I usually have a pretty clear idea of what I want, so then I just Google even the specific colorways and just see what stores come up and go from there. If you're in the UK, and I believe also in the US, a good place to start with lots of these yarns is Wool Warehouse. I think they're based in the UK, but they sell Regia and Drops, and I think even Opal, so that might be a good starting place for you. So I hope that answers some of the questions. I don't have the perfect solution for either of that, for any of that either. I spend a lot of time Googling yarns and comparing yarn stores and checking shipping and all that as well. So there's maybe just not an easy answer for that. But yeah, that's it for questions. And if you have any more questions, if that didn't answer anything, do let me know. I'm happy to answer pretty much anything. And I think that also brings me to the end of my knitting segments. So if you're only here for the knitting, that's totally fine. In that case, I will just see you next week. And if you do want to stick around, I'll just quickly talk about what's been happening. Boy, it's been a week. It's been not a terrible week, but a week of so many up and downs in so many ways. The only thing I feel comfortable sharing about the job thing that's happening is things are being worked out. Nothing is settled yet, but I have lots of talks. I have had a crazy interview, follow-up marathon and work trial marathon and all that last week. Things are being worked out. Actually, by the time you're watching this, I might have posted something more detailed on Instagram, but I just don't feel comfortable sharing any of that yet, so we'll just leave it to that. But having said that, I had the bulk of interview job things on Monday and Tuesday, and then I kind of knew that I had a couple of days of just waiting and seeing ahead. And what happened? Of course, I got sick. So I was not very surprised because I think for the last couple of weeks, I've been so busy with interviews and things, and my stress levels were so high, and I just really couldn't get sick, and everyone around me was sick, and I was just trying to hold on. So as soon as the whole stress kind of blew over, I got sick, and I wasn't terribly sick. I'm fine now, but it was really annoying. I always feel like I'd rather be sick for a day or for 2 days and be proper sick than kind of not be sick but not be healthy either for a week. And I was kind of in that state where I knew it was best for me to just stay at home and drink tea and not do a whole lot, but at the same time I was getting bored out of my mind because I wasn't doing anything. So that explains why I got a whole lot of knitting done, but I wasn't happy, let's put it that way. But now I feel much better. And then on Thursday, Kai's parents, they were in town for 3 days. Kai's my boyfriend, in case you didn't know. And so they came around for drinks one day, and then on Friday it was Kai's dad's birthday, so we went out to a fancy birthday dinner, and then yesterday we just had them around for breakfast, and we went to a museum. We went to the Deutsches Museum, the German museum, which is a huge museum here in Munich, and it's the sort of museum where you can't see everything in one day. You just have to go and pick one thing or two things or three things that you're interested in, because it is just huge. And it was so fun. I've been there before when I was younger, and it brought back a lot of memories and was really, really good. And it was also good for me to get out of the house, because I may have been a little bit grumpy and overwhelmed with stuff and decisions and being sick and all that. And it was good to get out of the house and do some things, and yeah, that was pretty nice. I also my knitting mojo this week has been all over the place as well. I think these past few weeks I've been so busy that I kind of haven't even had much time to think about knitting, and I realized I haven't thought about buying yarn for like a week, which for me is insane, because I constantly think about yarn and stories and all that. But yeah, it just shows how intense everything has been lately. And then I kind of lost my knitting mojo, and yesterday I cast something on, and then I wasn't happy with it, and then I've just been kind of all over the place, and I think it's nothing to do with the knitting itself. It's just the kind of frame of mind I was in. But then last night I actually sat down and watched some podcasts, and that gave me some inspiration, and I think I am on the mend. I am looking forward to knitting some more, because yesterday when I said to Kai, I don't even want to knit, there's nothing I want to knit on, he was quite worried about me, because that pretty much never happens to me. But I think the knitting mojo is slowly coming back. The yarn buying mojo has come back since this morning, so I think I just needed to treat myself to some lovely things as well. And yeah, I hate it when I don't have the knitting mojo. It's just, knitting makes me happy, and knitting keeps me insane, and when I don't feel like knitting, I just kind of don't know what to do with myself, and then I just get very cranky and frustrated. But like I said, I think it'll be fine. I think it's just a phase, and it's already blowing over, and I have quite a few things that I want to knit on now and want to cast on and plan, so I just need to make some decisions, and I might actually do a cast on later today. Yeah, so big decisions are coming up next week. I have talks and things coming tomorrow, and I'm really scared, and then again on Tuesday, and I'm thinking most likely by Wednesday I will have a decision about what I'll be doing for the next couple of months to years to God knows. So that is just kind of freaking me out, but I'm just hoping it'll all go well. And then on either Thursday or Friday, we're actually going to go away over the weekend again, to the same place we went 4 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, to the same place we went over Christmas or New Year's Eve. I mentioned this a few times before. Kai's parents have a tiny little holiday apartment in Allgäu, which is an area in the south of Germany, about 1.5 hours from here in the mountains. And we go there quite a lot because, like I said, it's very close to us. We have the keys. So we're just going to do a little weekend getaway, and I am so ready for that. I cannot wait. I think I can really I'm just noticing how much I need this, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably going to take crazy amounts of yarn, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. The only sad thing is that I've been planning to go to a knitting show, I guess, in Munich for weeks as well, and of course I only realized yesterday that it's the exact same weekend, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting away, and I think this whole phase of waiting and not knowing and all the insecurities is hopefully going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. I'm saying hopefully, I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping for at the moment. I'm looking forward to getting away and then sort of having a more routine, normal, boring life pretty soon. So hopefully next time I talk to you, all will be well, and I'll have lots of knitting to show you, because I'll be doing my little knitting getaway retreat, I guess. So with that, I think I'm just going to leave you guys for today. As usual, I love to hear from you. I really, really enjoy, like, when after I put out an episode next couple of days, to get comments. I just really enjoy hearing from you guys. It sounds like such a cliche. It really does, but it is why I enjoy talking to you. I don't enjoy sitting in front of my phone talking to myself. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy getting your opinions, hearing from you, sharing things with you, and also seeing what you guys are working on. It brings me so much happiness and joy, and it's really interesting. Even when I'm super stressed out, I still realize how much I want and enjoy recording podcasts, and other people's knitting podcasts and just Instagram and all that give me so much inspiration and also enable me quite a lot. So yeah, I just really appreciate you guys. I hope you know that. I hope you guys are having a beautiful weekend. You have as beautiful of weather as we do. Have a good week. Happy knitting, and I will see you next week. Bye.